Welcome to part 4 of my Planet Defense game series. In this series, we're building a complete game step by step using Phaser 4. You'll find the full playlist linked in the description. In this video, we're going to give our orbiting ship the ability to shoot, and it's going to fire outward from the Earth to defend the planet. For our bullet, we'll be creating a physics sprite game object. We're going with a sprite since we have an animation we'll want to play for our bullet once we fire it. To manage our bullets, we'll be using a Phaser Physics Arcade group. That way we can spawn multiple bullets, reuse them efficiently, and take advantage of collision detection later. If you're not familiar with Phaser groups, a group is a way for you to create, manipulate, and recycle similar types of game objects. A group is almost just like an array with a bunch of helper methods for working with that group. And at a high level, I like to think of groups as an object pool. So to create our Phaser group in our game scene, first let's add a property to our class. We'll call this bullet group. Now down our create method after we create our player, let's do this. We'll do our bullet group will be equal to this.physics.add.group. And now for our group, we'll pass an empty array for our initial children. So now that we have our group, we need to have a way to actually fire our bullets. So to add our firing behavior, we're going to check for when the player presses our spacebar or taps on our screen, we'll create a bullet. Then we'll position it at our player's location and give it a velocity based on the angle of our player. And so for this, we'll use some of our built-in utility functions in Phaser. So to check for our player input, let's come down to our update method. After we update our player's position, we'll want to check to see if our space key was just pressed. So let's do if, we'll do our Phaser, let's do input, keyboard, just down. Now we want to do this, we want to reference our cursor keys. From our cursor keys object, we want to grab our space key. What this method will do is going to check to see if our key was just pressed down and that's not being held down. Now that we have our check for when our space key is pressed, we can fire our bullet. For firing our bullet, we'll make a new method on our class. So let's do this, and we'll do fire bullet. Let's add that new private method to our class, so we'll do fire bullet. So now in our fire bullet method, first we'll want to get our X and Y position of where our player is at, and then calculate our velocity based on the angle of our player. So for our X and Y values, we can grab those from this, our player game object, and then our X property. We'll do the same thing for Y. Now for our velocity, we're going to reference our physics system. And now we're going to use a method called velocity from rotation. What this does is it's going to take our rotation in radians from our player and the speed we want our bullet to move, and it's going to give us back our velocity as a vector. So for our angle, we're going to reference our player angle property. And now for our speed, let's do 400 for our bullet. Now we need to create our bullet game object. For this, we'll be relying on our Phaser group, so that way we can reuse our game objects. So let's do const, we'll do bullet. It's going to be equal to this, our bullet group. We're going to call the getFirstDead method. So what this method does is it allows us to reuse game objects that are no longer active in our game that are part of our existing group. If a game object is not found, we can create a new one on the fly. To do this, we need to pass in our right arguments. For our first argument, we want to pass in true, indicating that we want to create a game object if one's not found. Next, we can provide our X and Y values of where we want to place our new game object or where we want to place our existing game object that's not active. If a game object is not found, then we need to tell Phaser what texture we want to apply. For our texture, we're going to use our asset keys. We want to use our bullet asset. Since this is a sprite sheet, we can provide our frame, so we'll do frame 0. And then finally, we want our game object to be visible as soon as we shoot our bullet, so we'll pass in true. So now at this point, we should have our bullet. And so now I'm just going to do a console log. We're going to log out our bullet game object. So I'm going to save, I'm going to come back to our game. If we press our space key, we'll see we start spawning our bullet game objects. So now that we see our logic is working, we just need to update our velocity and our rotation on our bullet game objects so we can move them away from our ship. Let's remove our console log. We'll reference our bullet game object. We're going to call this setVelocity method. Now in this method, we need to provide our velocity for our X and Y properties, as we'll use our velocity object. We'll do velocity X, and then velocity Y. Now we need to update our bullet's rotation, so we'll do our bullet, we'll do set rotation. We'll just use our rotation from our player. And finally, after we fire one of our bullets, I'm going to add a console log statement to keep track of how many bullets we've actually fired. We'll do fire bullet. We'll say number of bullet game objects in the group. And to get this value, we can reference our bullet group. We're going to call the getChildren method. And this method will return an array of our game objects that are part of our group. And since it's an array, we'll just log out our length. Now if we come back to our game, if we press our space key and we fire one of our bullets, we'll see it fires outward from our ship. Nice. To make sure our bullets don't spawn too fast, let's add a firing cooldown. We'll create a timer that tracks when our last bullet was fired and only allow a new bullet if enough time has passed. This will prevent the player from spamming our space key to keep firing bullets. To add in this logic, first, we need to add a property to keep track of when our last bullet was fired. So at the top of our class, let's do last bullet fire time. And down in our create method, we'll initialize that value to 0. So after we create our bullet group, we'll do this. Our last bullet fire time will say equal to 0. So now for our timer, to keep track of how much time has passed in our game, we can rely on our update method. And so when Phaser calls our update method in our scene, we receive 2 arguments. Our first argument represents the current time of our game. And so based on this value, we can set our last bullet fire time to that time when our player presses our space key. So let's do this. We'll do our last bullet fire time will be equal to our time. So now that we're keeping track of the last time we fired one of our bullets, in our if statement, we can now check to see if the current timestamp is greater than our last bullet fire time plus some value. And for this, we'll do 200 milliseconds. So now if we save and we come back to our game, if we keep pressing our space key really fast, we'll see now we only spawn our bullets within that interval. Finally, we also want to make sure our bullets get cleaned up when they go off our screen. Currently, as we're firing our bullets, our number of game objects in our group keeps growing in size. If we don't remove them, we'll end up with thousands of invisible bullets, slowing things down in our game. In order to reuse our game objects for our object pool, we'll need to check if our bullet's position is outside the bounds of our game, then make our game object inactive once it is. To add in this logic, we'll do this in our update method. So after we do our check to see if we need to fire a bullet, we'll want to clean up our bullets. To do that, we need to get a reference to all of our game objects in our group. So we'll do our bullet group. Let's do getChildren. Now for our array, we'll want to iterate through it. So now for each of our bullets in our group, first we want to see if our bullet's currently active. And so we'll do bullet.active. So if our bullet is currently active, and now to see if our bullet is outside the bounds of our game, first we'll check our X position. So if our bullet.x is less than 0, so it's moved off the left-hand side of our screen, or if our bullet.x, if it's greater than our scale.width, that means it moved outside the right-hand side of our screen, or if our bullet.y value is less than 0, it moved outside the top. And now for the bottom, we'll do our bullet.y. If it's greater than our scale.height, then we want to make our bullet not active, and so we're going to call set active. We'll pass in false, and then we want to make our bullet not visible. And so we'll pass in false. Now if we save and try firing some of our bullets, we'll see once our 3 bullets move off our screen, we start reusing our game objects. However, we have an issue now where our bullet is no longer visible once we start firing it, and now if we press our space key, our bullet's path gets interrupted and we respawn our game object. What's happening is in our logic here, we're setting our game object to not be active and we're making it not visible. Down in our logic for once we fire our bullet, when we grab that game object, we need to reset those properties. So after we get our bullet game object, we'll want to call set active. We're going to pass this to be true. And now we want to make our game object visible. So we'll pass in true here. So now if we save and we start firing our bullets, we'll see now we're reusing our bullets properly. Nice. Finally, for our bullet game objects that we're spawning, they're a little bit small, so we're just going to increase our scale on our game objects. So we're going to call our setScale method, and now we're going to pass in 1.5. So now if we save and spawn one of our game objects, we'll see it's a little bit larger. And then finally for our bullet game objects, we have an animation we want to play. We're going to use our play method, and we'll reference our asset keys and then our bullet asset to play our animation. So now if we come back to our game, we'll see now our bullet game object is playing our animation when our bullet is fired. Finally, one last thing we'll do for our bullets is we always want to make sure our physics body is enabled for our bullet. To do this, we just need to call our enable body method, and this will make sure our physics body gets reset for our game object. So currently, we're not disabling our physics body on our bullet, but we'll make use of this later once we add in our asteroids. And that's it. Our ship now fires bullets that fire outward. With this in place, we're ready to add enemies to our game in our next video, and give our bullets something to hit.